Goddamn, NBA free agency is heating up. Let's recap the craziness of all significant moves from all NBA teams. This is going to be opinion based, so if I miss any trades you want to talk about, let me know in the comments below. Let's get into it. Before we get started on the madness that is NBA free agency, I want to recap a few significant trades that happened earlier. Desmond Bane got traded to the Orlando Magic for an absolute haul. 4 first-round picks alongside KCP and Cole Anthony. The Grizzlies maybe look like they're going into a rebuild while the Magic are bolstering their squad in a injury-riddled Eastern Conference. Could 2026 be the Magic's year? Also, at the time of recording, this is by far the biggest draft compensation return we've seen any team get. Kevin Durant is going to the Rockets for what looks like peanuts compared to the Desmond Bane trade. The Suns get a young 20-point-per-game scorer. It seems like nobody wants these nowadays, and a defensive presence in Dillon Brooks with 4 second-round draft picks, while the Rockets get the 2-time champion, MVP, and Finals MVP. The Rockets also re-signed Fred VanVleet to a very team-friendly 2-year, $50 million contract. They also retained Jae'Sean Tate, Aaron Holiday, and Jeff Green for 1 year on minimum deals, and signed Dorian Finney-Smith to a 4-year, $53 million deal. The Rockets look like they're seriously interested in competing for a championship, but if I'm being honest, it kind of looks like they're just one Kevin Durant injury away from completely collapsing. You can't replace the kind of impact and points per game that Kevin Durant has, especially after you traded a young 20-point per game scorer. It's hard to put all your eggs in one basket for an aging superstar who has an unknown best before date, but that's exactly what Kevin Durant is. Even if you're a Rockets fan, you have to admit that your season relies on Kevin Durant staying healthy. The Celtics traded away Drew Holiday for Anthony Simmons and a second-round draft pick. The Celtics also traded away Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks for George Niang and another second-rounder, but all of this is for the owners to basically get under the salary tax. Being in the second apron, they ended up saving hundreds of millions of dollars in luxury tax while maintaining their core intact. We'll see ultimately whether or not that's the right decision. The Celtics are almost surely playoff participants and are almost surely not going to make the NBA or conference finals, just going off of their performance from last season. Moving on to the Atlanta Hawks, and this team honestly surprised me with their transactions, both in quantity and the direction. And the direction seems to be contending for a playoff spot and or championship. And with all the injuries in the Eastern Conference, I honestly can't blame them. The Hawks also traded back in the draft and got a 2026 first-round draft pick as the Pelicans traded for the 13th overall pick in Derek Queen and received Hassan Newell back from the New Orleans Pelicans. The Hawks also signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker to a 4-year, $62 million contract and signed Luke Kennard to a 1-year, $11 million deal. And lastly, they received Kristaps Porzingis from the Boston Celtics. The Atlanta Hawks have put themselves in a very strong position in an injury-riddled Eastern Conference. I just don't know. I just don't know if that moves the needle enough for me. I mean, this is a team that hasn't gotten out of the first round since 2020 and hasn't even made the playoffs in the last 2 years. Are we really setting the bar this high? I like the moves that the Hawks have made, but I'll wait for them to win a playoff series before calling them winners this offseason. Taking a look at other transactions around the league, the Cleveland Cavaliers traded for Lonzo Ball and signed Larry Nance Jr. They also signed Sam Merrill to a 4-year, $38 million contract, which is kind of surprising. I feel like he didn't do enough to deserve that. They also brought back Larry Nance Jr. on a 1-year, $3.63 million deal, which is just adding a little bit of depth but doesn't really make any changes. Overall, the Cavaliers largely stayed the same and improved marginally around the edges. The Dallas Mavericks re-signed Kyrie Irving to a team-friendly deal, signed D'Angelo Russell and Dante Exum, and obviously drafted Cooper Flagg first overall with immediate expectations. They also signed Daniel Gafford to a 3-year, $54 million contract extension. They're the Cleveland Cavaliers of the West. The Denver Nuggets traded for Cameron Johnson and gave up Michael Porter Jr.'s albatross of a contract while signing Tim Hardaway Jr. to a minimum deal. Coming back in the Michael Porter trade is Cam Johnson, a younger and healthier version of MPJ. Giving up a first rounder is worth it to offload what looks to be one of the worst signings of the 2020s. The Nuggets have quietly been making a lot of really solid moves. The cap flexibility also allowed the Nuggets to sign Jonas Valanciunas, finally solving their backup big problems Oh, there's still more unfolding to this story, so we don't know for sure what's going to happen at this point. The Milwaukee Bucks signed Kevin Porter and Gary Trent Jr.'s, waived Damian Lillard, and stretched out his contract over 5 years while signing Miles Turner to replace Brook Lopez. They also signed Gary Harris and Taurean Prince to minor deals to fill out roster spots. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if that's going to be enough to convince Giannis to stay for another year or give it another shot with the Bucks. Looking at the Los Angeles Clippers, James Harden declined his player option and agreed to a 2-year, $81.5 million contract to stay with the Clippers. They also landed Brook Lopez on a 2-year deal worth $18 million. The Clippers also acquired John Collins from the Utah Jazz and signed Bradley Beal to a 2-year deal worth $11 million after his huge buyout with the Phoenix Suns. Those are definitely some moves, and Bradley Beal on that contract is pretty good, but I don't know if that's going to be enough in a loaded Western Conference.
Dennis Rodman's better than
y'all on dope dog?
Yes. Y'all are crazy.
You better go look at what that man did year in, year out.
He could score, pass, rebound. He do it all.
You know Dennis Rodman won the Defensive Player of the Year coming off the bench?
Who is saying that Draymond Green is better than Dennis Rodman? Absolutely no one. Woo! Yeah, I had to get that little bit of humor in for you guys. God damn. The Memphis Grizzlies and OKC Thunder locked up their superstars in Triple J and SGA under max deals. DeAndre Ayton was bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers and ultimately signs with the Lakers. It's a 2-year, $16.6 million contract. Luka Doncic has his pick and roll partner and his lob threat. LeBron James also loudly opted into his player contract and, according to his agent, is still wanting to compete for a championship. We don't really know what that looks like on the LA Lakers, but according to what everyone else is saying, Luka Doncic is supposed to be the face of this franchise going forward, and the question has to be asked whether or not those plans include LeBron James on the LA Lakers. Some say that this is LeBron's way of asking for a trade, although he does have a no trade clause and can dictate not only where he goes but for what he goes as well. The Lakers also signed Marcus Smart to a 2-year, $10.5 million deal after being bought out by the Washington Wizards. Solid moves by the Lakers, but this team is not going to be competing for a championship in 2026. The Timberwolves re-signed Julius Randle and Naz Reid to long-term extensions, and that's about it. It looks like Minnesota is comfortable running it back this year. Mike Brown and the New York Knicks are apparently finalizing a deal. This comes after firing Tom Thibodeau and waiting for weeks to fill the position. Overall, I think the Houston Rockets won the offseason and the Hawks are a close second, but I'm not confident that either made significant enough moves to change the power balance of the East and West, even with the parity in the Eastern Conference. The Orlando Magic are also going to be strong contenders in the Eastern Conference this year. That's all I have for you guys today. Tell me all about the trades that I missed and why I'm wrong about them. Let me know why your team moves are better and why they won the offseason. Tell me about it in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more NBA content and whatever's going on in sports.